live. All right, you ready to build things?
Sure.
Okay.
It kind of feels weird after what I've been working on for the last week or two.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So let's maybe just do a quick run through of what we want to accomplish, and then we can from there start actually building it. So
You want me to pull up the whimsical?
yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Do you want to talk us through it?
If you want to, that'd be fine.
Okay. So this is a kind of a flow chart for what we're thinking with our new API. And what we've got going with it is that when you first log in, or when you first go to the store, you're not logged in. You're just looking at a storefront. And so that's kind of the logged out experience. You're going to shop as a guest. You see the products. You can buy the products. It has nothing to do with an account. You're totally set. The next flow would be that you actually log in, and you're able to log in using your GitHub account. So GitHub, we do this through Auth0, which means that you just grant us permission to read your GitHub username and email address. At that point, we don't really have any information about you, what your contribution level is to Gatsby or anything like that. The only thing we actually have is GitHub will tell us we can do a search against GitHub for how many pull requests you've done using your GitHub username. But what we can't do is we can't look at like, have you used your discount code? Have you done things to, have you qualified for a second level of swag rewards? Because one of the things we're trying to do here is give people the ability to, like, after 5 contributions, we want to give you a coupon code for like a hoodie. Or we just got pajama pants. We got our pre-production samples today, which I'm super pumped about. And so we've got those. We want people to be able to get those after 5 contributions, which means we need to be able to store some information, and that means we introduced Prisma. And if you watch the previous stream that we did, we set up a Prisma database. We got it running where it's going to store the user email, the GitHub username, and their Shopify customer ID so that we can just keep those things in line. And from that, we're going to be able to do a lookup on Shopify to see if you've made any orders so we can verify whether or not you've used the coupon codes, and a lookup on GitHub to see whether or not you meet the qualification for a level 2 swag reward. So on the previous cast, we made a GitHub lookup. So we've got the ability to look up issues using a label, and we've got the ability to what else did we switched over to using Shopify's GraphQL API. So the Shopify GraphQL JS, we are now able to create customers using GraphQL, which is super exciting. So on this one, what we're going to do is we're going to add a new mutation to our GraphQL API that will do a create customer call. And if we have time, we'll also add an update customer mutation that will allow us to do a fresh lookup for contributions and orders on any given login so that we can make sure that we've got up-to-date information there. So with that, Amberly, I think you are ready to do the create customer.
Yeah.
And we were gonna, so I think probably the easiest way to start would be to do the mutation schema. And so where we can start is we know what needs to be true at the end, right? So we want to get the customer back. And so in the mutation, we know that we want to call create customer.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just drop that right down at the bottom after line 33.
Yeah.
So you can just create a new, this will be what we'll actually call.
Yeah.
And so create customer.
Create customer.
Mm-hmm. And then the input, so we'll make it an input field because that way we can do a type for it. And that type will be, what do you think? Create customer input?
Yeah.
Okay, and what that's going to return is a contributor. And so we already defined our contributor down on 46, but we'll need to define our input, which is going to be just like the input we did on 39, but this one's going to be for creating a customer. And I actually think it might be exactly the same.
So having not built a GraphQL API before, can we just reuse that here?
We can, and since we just built this, the reason that I'm thinking we want to rename it is that it actually is going to do more than the Shopify customer. So it's going to create a Shopify customer, but it's also going to do the Prisma setup. And so what I guess we can do, because we've never shipped this before, so we don't have to worry about deprecation, in the create Shopify customer, we can just change that to use the create customer input instead of the Shopify customer input.
So is that not effectively the same thing?
Well, it is effectively the same thing, but then we can delete one of them. So that way we don't have the Shopify and the create customer. It just keeps things compact here.
Like that?
Yep. So with that, the way that we've set it up thus far is if we look over at the resolvers, we've got create Shopify customer setup.
The GraphQL one.
Yeah, and so that pulls from create Shopify customer in the GraphQL setup, which, you've got open there. And so that returns our customer ID, our Shopify customer ID. So, what we get back at the end is exactly the customer ID. And so what I'm thinking we should do here is instead of trying to do the storage in the create Shopify customer, we should just return that ID like we always do. And in doing that, it will give us the ID back in create Shopify customer. So we basically, instead of returning it, we'll just store that in a variable. So const Shopify customer ID equals.
Here?
Mm-hmm. And I just realized we started editing the create Shopify customer. We need to create a new resolver for create customer. So you can just basically duplicate that. Okay. And so this, and that's actually what we want to keep that one in there. So then I guess what we need to figure out is what's going to be returned after this. So one thing that we can do just to make sure that we've got things set up is we can return the shape that we want to get back and then slowly replace that with dynamic values. So at the end of create customer, if we just return the object that we want to get back with hard-coded values, we can start replacing those with real ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I know that I'm sick, so this probably influences it, but I feel like these are close enough that it gets confusing to talk about.
I'm actually thinking we should delete create Shopify customer, but I didn't want to. I maybe we should check real quick. We never shipped that, right? That's just part of the PR.
I don't know. Oops. And that would be in the.
You can just look at the schema. If it's not, if we didn't ship create Shopify customer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just kill it then. We'll we didn't ship it, so we don't need to worry about it, and we're not going to end up doing. Yeah, it's just going to end up causing confusion. So let's get rid of that altogether.
Out of both here and the resolvers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then this is what's coming from our Shopify GraphQL. Okay.
Yep. So let's return the object that we want to get back, which is going to match the contributor schema. See, honestly, you can just copy paste that over, and we'll just replace the types with hard coded data.
This has to be fun to watch.
It's okay. I think we're that's going to be an array just to make sure that we don't lose it. And the array has to follow that type. So we have to make sure that it returns an object with code and used. And and then you can just make up strings for everything except the Shopify customer ID, since we actually have that already.
Mm-hmm. Will that not just...
It will, but you'd have to make it match. So you need a capital D at the end.
I see, yeah.
Because apparently I made the choice not to properly camel case things. But yeah, for the rest of those, we can...
Do you want to keep it caps?
I feel like this is a philosophical debate, right? So like IDs are capitalized things. And so having an acronym that gets sentence cased is weird to me. But then definitely with the with like camel casing, it then gets weird because then you've got like all caps acronyms in a camel cased variable name, and I don't know. I've kind of gone with like ID should always be capitalized, but I also I don't know.
Yeah, feel that in my head, not my heart.
But yeah,
let's just keep it.
Okay, cool. So for now, let's do just like you can put in like foo and bar. It doesn't really matter what you send back. It just needs to match the types. Pull request count could be any number. Shopper customer ID we're sending back, and then the used needs to be a Boolean, and the code needs to be any string. So you can just do like, another placeholder.
Well, in this case, if there's no PRs.
In that case, we'd return an empty array.
Yeah. Do you want me to just make this one?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it so that we know that when we've got values in there. Yeah. Okay. And then let's just set code to like test or something.
Do what?
You can just set code to test. And with that, we should be able to like send a mutation. So do you have this running locally?
Yes. Yeah.
And if you, we'll need to make sure that we match the input type, but as long as we drop that in there, we should be able to, send in an actual customer, which will actually create, it'll try to create a customer.
Okay, so what do we need to say?
The input, so this will be create customer. If you don't want to lose that, you can create a new tab too up there. It's one of my favorite things about the playground. And it'll be a mutation, not a query. And then you'll need your input. And the auto suggest should take care of this for us, I think. So we'll have our input, and then it's going to tell you that's going to be an object.
Yeah. Ah, I cannot type today.
Or no, like you actually need the input label.
Oh.
And then, yeah, then that's an object. And then you should have subfields. So yeah, GitHub username. And I think
Which test did we use?
It actually doesn't matter because we hard coded the response. And then also keep in mind that we got to use double quotes in this part.
Okay. Nice.
So this won't matter, but the email will matter because Shopify is going to check for a real email. So you can use mine to just like JSON plus test at gatsbyjs.com. And that way it should be a new email. Then what else do we need? If you hit we need a first name and accepts marketing are the last two for the input. You can set that to true.
No.
And then what we should get back is a contributor. So we should be able from here to just query all those fields. So if you just want to open up some braces, I think you can hit control space or option space should give you a drop down of all the available fields. And you can let's just grab all of them.
Is there a way to do that all at once?
Unfortunately, no. And then that's all of them, right?
A what?
Shopify, what's... Oh, and that one's going to have a subfield selection because it's an array. And that'll be, yeah. You should be able to just run that. Oh, we're missing our access token. So that needs to be set in the request, which I think we have it in, where did we do this before? We did this in the, we did this in one of these. The Shopify, create Shopify customer needs to have a, Shopify GraphQL has a Shopify token. Did you set the GraphQL token? Here, let me hide the screen here for a second so we can look at sensitive things. Everybody just look at my face while we figure this out. So yeah, do you want to pull up your .env real quick? You are missing your GraphQL token. Let me grab that one for you. And I will send this to here. Where should I send it? I'm going to throw it into Slack. Are you? Yeah. Okay. So if you want to copy that into your .m file, then I'll turn the camera back to the screen. I copied the whole, yeah, it's all on. Yes. Yep. Cool. We got ourselves a successful customer call. So that's great. So that kind of takes all the stuff that we did yesterday or on the last stream and kind of brings us up to speed. So what we can do next then is start looking at how to get the rest of those things to be filled. So some of them we already have the answers to, like that input's going to include our GitHub username and email. But what we can also do is store that stuff. So why don't we go ahead and do that since we're in here anyways? We actually already wrote the code for this and just commented it out up in our one of our resolvers for, I think it was get contributor. We have the code to create our.
Yeah.
Yep. So we can just take this whole section.
All this.
Yep. And you can, yeah. And we can put that into our resolver for create customer. And we'll do that under, yeah, right in between there. And so this part will, instead of using the hard-coded numbers, we can take the input itself is going to come in with the username and email. So we can destructure it, or you can just do input dot.
Let's do that for now.
Okay, and then we can also return those since we know what they are already. We don't need to worry about getting that back. So we don't really need a response, do we? We can just await it. And let's add a to-do because we're going to need to do error handling on that just in case something goes wrong. But for now, that'll create our contributor. Oh, and we need to include the Shopify customer ID in there since we just got it. And that autocomplete should work for you. Okay. Yep. And then we need to do a lookup for their contributions.
I'm pulling that out of.
And we already have it in.
Is that get contributor info?
I think that's what it is. Yeah. We can also take a look at GitHub to see if the GitHub file because we may have created like a get pull request count. No, we just did is GitHub contributor.
Contributor.
We could let's not mess with that just yet. We can go to refactoring later, but for now let's get the get contributor info because that gives us the pull or the total contributions.
Yeah, okay. Let's copy this.
And
And that we want.
yeah, you could honestly probably just destructure it out. Okay. And we haven't written anything to get the Shopify codes yet. So let's start here and let's see if we're getting what we want. So let's save that.
Okay.
And then I think you can just go back and make another request. You might have to add test2 to my email just to make sure. I'm going to get so many emails out of this. It's going to be great. So what should happen here is if you run that, we should get back like actual info. Oh, put in my GitHub username though. Value for what? Cannot read property ID of null. Did we? So this is that error handling that we got to do. So like in the create Shopify customer, I bet. So that might be that we have a duplicate customer. Try just test 3 and see if that makes a difference.
Right.
Value for shopper customer ID is too long. Let's see. Okay, what did we do? Let's go back to the code because the Shopify customer ID was working before.
Right.
So let's go back. Is it is that coming from Prisma or from Shopify? Like let's because it might be in that stack trace.
This.
Let's look at the stack trace again and the error message on the playground. Down toward the bottom, it showed us where so that came out of batch client. Data loader. Let's try console logging it just to see if we can figure out what's
In here.
Yeah. And maybe we can and then that should log in your terminal.
Oh.
Oh, we got an error.
Oh, same. It's giving us that.
Cannot read property ID of null. Okay, so it's getting an error, and that error is being sent back as the message, which is wrong. But so something is wrong with the Shopify request. which I wonder if that's because I've tried to use these emails before. So let's maybe just add some junk to the front of it, just some random characters. Like
Well, I haven't used one. Can we just
Sure, yeah.
make these up indefinitely?
Yeah. Like a plus string is always going to be a unique URL.
I didn't know if that was it. Well, we used to use that. Never mind.
It's a like a Google feature.
Yeah.
Come on, what's breaking? All right, so we're gonna need to do some more.
Here's the
Oh,
ID.
different error.
Well, we got the ID.
We did get an
Too long.
ID. Okay, so we broke something else. What's going on here? So it is, and that's coming back from the GraphQL thing. So did we typo something?
That's super possible.
So we've got the total contributions. Let's log it. Let's try to log at each piece. Like log after, so we've got that log. Let's log after the Prisma, and then let's also log after the contributor info, because I'm wondering if it's like.
Do you want to grab this Prisma information?
Yeah, let's try. Let's just log what comes back from it too, because maybe we are getting an error because we set something up wrong.
And then total contributions.
Yeah. All right.
You are me.
You're gonna have to change that email address.
Oh.
You can just do like test2 or test whatever. Okay, so let's see where we got before it bailed on us. And it only got to the, so it's something's up with Prisma because it's not logging, or oh. What's at the very bottom there? Did we?
Here?
Still no Prisma?
Yeah.
Yeah, so something's up with Prisma not liking the Shopify customer ID. Okay, let's take a look in the Prisma folder. Did we maybe screw that up? The data model. Shopify customer ID. Let's make it a string instead of an ID. Maybe I screwed that up. And that's, yeah. And actually that would be unique as well. Now that and we are requiring that now because it would have to exist for us to create a customer, right? I think originally we were going to create a customer no matter what, and then add the Shopify ID later. But I think now we're not, until somebody tries to claim a discount code, we're not creating a customer, right?
Right, until they explicitly sort of opt into creating an account with the form.
Right. So then this is okay. So now we get to update the Prisma instance, which I'm a little worried might require me doing it. Let's give it a shot and see what happens.
And what is that again?
It's a global Prisma command that I forget, so we're gonna have to look that up.
It's like Prisma generate or something?
Yeah, it's like Prisma generate and Prisma generate and Prisma something else.
Boy?
Yes. Do you have Prisma installed?
Is it just Prisma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so do Prisma deploy, and let's see if it'll work.
Yeah, so Prisma deploy and Prisma generate.
Yes, I don't think
I was
it.
confused about this last time and you did it. Do you have to generate before you deploy?
I don't think it matters because so here's what I think is happening, and I should check with the Prisma team because they've been super helpful about this. When you run deploy, you're notifying Prisma, the software as a service platform, that things have changed. So this updates your database, or if you've configured your own database, it would do those changes. And then when you run Prisma generate, it's modifying your code so that that generated Prisma folder that we have that's got all the like the bindings and the type ahead stuff that we're getting, that's what gets generated when we run generate. So I think you don't actually have to run them both. It would just be really confusing if you didn't because they would get out of sync.
Okay, so just try running both.
Yeah, just go ahead and run Prisma deploy. I have a feeling this is going to yell at you because you're not me.
Sucks to not be you.
So yeah, it wants you to.
So now it opened up Prisma console.
Okay. And is it asking you to log in?
No, it's saying the CLI needs the following permissions: deploy services, delete services, etc. And it has an option to grant permission.
Okay, let me see if I can. Maybe I can just authorize you on the account. I haven't tried any of this. This will be fun. Here, let me actually. I'm going to switch over. I'm going to show my screen while I do this. So if you just want to follow along on the.
Yeah.
Let's go here. And let's see. I've got. Am I signed in? How do I go to my account? That's probably the better question. Sign in. This is the one. I hope. Yes. And okay, so I want to be able to give you the team. Okay. So I think that'll work and you should be able to then deploy.
Invite to workspace, join workspace.
Are you logged in with your Gatsby email?
It's prompted me to create an account or sign up with GitHub.
Sign up with GitHub?
Should I do it connected with my GitHub?
Do you, I mean, I can also invite your other email if you want.
Well, that would just be, it should be associated with my Gatsby email.
Yeah, I mean, mine's not, but that's okay. I probably should do that, shouldn't I?
I feel like we have this conversation every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's only because I left like nonprofit jobs and things where it was all like stuff I had to offload later. Like there was one I had permissions on their website for like a year after I left something. So now I just try. There's nothing wrong with using your personal one. I just try to stick with.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Accounts. This way we always see your name when we have to sign into the store.
Yeah, I know, right? That's like I've been putting that off for so long because I really don't want to reset up Auth0, but I have to go convert everything over to be a Gatsby account instead of a personal account.
Easter egg.
I know, right?
Okay, so now I'm logged in and I'm looking at your workspace.
Okay, perfect. So I think if you come back to the CLI, you should be able to just deploy it. I hope.
Nice. Okay. Contributor, you're making a field required, but there are already nodes that would violate that constraint.
Okay, so we can we just kill it, or what do we do? I think maybe I think I can just delete these entries because
Oh, yeah. Let's
we're
just
not
delete
yeah.
what's in the database.
All right, so I just switched over. I'm gonna. Oh, buddy, come on, Prisma. There we go.
Is this API Gatsby org or Prisma Gatsby org?
This is API Gatsby org. I need to delete that one.
Okay.
How do I just delete these? Like, I just want it gone. Oh, I have to double click. Delete node. Do I have to? What?
Did it work?
I don't know. Delete node?
I mean, I'm still seeing the records.
I can't. Weird. Do I have to do something with it? Can I let's what?
Is it hanging when you try to delete node?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to do it also.
Okay, maybe there's a CLI command for this. Do you want to go back into your CLI and let's look at the help again? Maybe there's I think there was like a purge option where we can basically just kind of nuke and pave the. Let's see.
I would love if it
Reset.
was called reset. Huh? Are you sure you want to reset? Yep.
Okay, so now when you run Prisma deploy, it should just work. Okay, and then if you do Prisma generate, okay, so now we should be good. That should work the way that we want it to. And if you go back to the server, and I guess it's already been restarted, we can just let's just give it a shot, because if I'm correct, and I have no idea if I'm correct, the ID type might have a length limit on it. And since we just changed it to a string, that should remove the length limit, which should hopefully get Prisma to cooperate. So you'll probably, just any.
So.
Like 3 or something.
Actually, you said this wouldn't be fine because my GitHub username isn't associated with this.
No, that should be fine. Because we're creating a it's going to look up your GitHub account to get your contribution count, and then it's going to create a Shopify customer. The email needs to be unique though, because if Shopify has already created the customer, then it'll break. So I think we've already created test, so we'll need like test 3, I think, and we'll just increment it every time we run this, and you're going to get so many emails.
I'm already excited.
Let's let it rip.
Oh, I got, okay. Got this right.
GitHub username is not defined. Okay, so we're getting closer. It's a different error now. Did the Prisma stuff log?
Prisma record.
Prisma logged. That's good. So then it failed at the GitHub lookup, which means we. Oh, because it's an input, not we. You're running GitHub username as if it was declared, but it's got to be off of input. So on line 103.
Oh. Oh God, I hate it when it's that. Okay.
Okay, so
So now I
now this time it's like I got a good feeling this is it.
Why did you go and say that? All right, let's see.
Damn it.
All right.
Oh, this is actually good though, because we said that the GitHub username needs to be unique, and that's actually a good thing, because what that means is that now, like, yeah, it'll avoid some complications where like people accidentally sign up multiple times and stuff like that. We
Right.
will need to add error handling for that, so we'll have to kind of like look at this message and say, if unique constraint and GitHub username, then we need to say like somebody with this username is already signed up, or this username is already registered with a different email or something. Although that theoretically should be impossible because we do the lookup by GitHub username. So when they log in with GitHub and we look up, that should be an impossible state actually. But we can. That's okay. We can just kind of move on for now and go ahead and put my name in because I don't exist in the database yet.
Do you not, or did we do that?
We just purged the
Okay.
Prisma database.
Number 5.
Yep. Boom. So
Alright.
we've got that pull request count looks accurate. We know that we passed through the username and email directly. So the last thing that we need to do then is, I mean, outside of all the like error handling cleanup and stuff, we need to do the code lookup. And so this part is going to be, we have to kind of get into the Shopify API a little bit. So if we look into Shopify GraphQL, we are, let me move the thing here. What we're doing is effectively sending in, I remembered something.
Oh my lord.
Okay, so really quickly, on line 22, we had an issue where we thought that things weren't being set properly, but what it actually was, as Michael Osmina pointed out, is that we were calling in the wrong stuff. So now that we have the accepts marketing, we can just pass that in as a template literal, like we are with email and first name, just not quoted. And it's good to do that now before we forget and accidentally sign up everybody to the newsletter. And then, yeah, you can drop line 22, and assuming nothing breaks, that will be all good. But so the way that we are doing this request on line 37, we're going to do effectively the same thing, but we need to write a Shopify query that will let us get the orders for a person. Okay. And that query, I feel like I wrote this down in one of our issues, actually.
And we need to do this in create Shopify customer?
Well, I think we can create.
No, because there would be no orders. Never mind.
Right. So I think we're going to do a new method inside of Shopify GraphQL called like load customer orders. And it's going to, oh, wait, we already did this.
Get customer? Oh.
Yeah. So we just need to
call it.
We need to call it, and we need to.
This.
Yeah. But I think we can just pass in the customer ID.
And this would be the Shopify customer ID.
Yes.
Oop.
Did that hurt?
Ugh.
And then, yeah, it'll still be double quoted, but we need it to be in the.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's rename that, actually. Are we using that anywhere if we look back into the resolvers?
I don't think so.
Okay. We just really quickly to make double extra sure, can you do a search on the whole code base? We've just got just the one.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Cool. Then yeah, let's rename it to get customer orders because that's actually what we're doing. And so the thing that we're gonna have to figure out here is, can we get the discount codes out of those orders? Because right now we're just getting the order ID, which is great. But let's maybe pull up the Shopify docs and see if we can figure out whether or not that order query will give us back the used discount codes.
I don't think I've ever looked at the Shopify docs before.
They're pretty good. They're like when they let you down.
I like all this business. These are some cute animations.
Yeah, it's nice, right? But somewhere in here on the GraphQL Admin API, we should be able to, in the API reference, this would be a query.
This query root.
You know what might be easier than this? We have
Googling.
well, we can Google, but we also in the store, the Shopify store, if you go to our admin, I enabled the app so that we can do GraphQL queries from the Shopify store. Have you logged into it before?
I was about to say, I'm not sure I've left. No, yeah, I have.
Yeah, so if you just want to pull up, what is it? It's Gatsby. I don't remember what it's called. Hold on.
Is that the one that's the...
It's, yeah, I'll just
Team
send
account?
you. Yeah. You got it?
Waiting. Good afternoon, Gatsby.
Yeah, so if you just want to pull that across, then we can get into there's an app in there.
I could follow this whole dashboard.
Yep, and then go to apps and Shopify Graphical. And so if you go back to, let's see, what we need first is we need to get like my customer ID, which will, or yeah, because wait, have you ordered with we have to be careful because some of the
So
discount
I
codes
have, but I've also used discount
Yeah.
codes.
Yeah, let me check and see who's somebody that hasn't so that we don't accidentally like show a bunch of discount codes that shouldn't be shown. And I'm going to do this on a different screen so that I don't. Okay. So let's
You're
see.
very sneaky.
I am clearly very sneaky. Let's see if I've got, oh my God, just to show what we're dealing with right now. This is my, the dashboard right now. Look at all these customers we created.
Wait, where?
Are
No.
you looking at the Twitch stream?
Oh, now I see it, yeah. Can you just clear that?
Yeah, I'll delete them all once we get it running. Let me
Alright.
find, let's see, Jason at Gatsby.
Because the last thing we need is a million copies of you and me.
Yeah, exactly. One is clearly enough. So let's see if I can get my customer ID. Do I have any orders? Okay, perfect. So my customer has one order that did use the coupon code. So we need to do a lookup for me, which if you want to look at the docs there, I think you can just do a customer lookup by email. I feel like I figured this out, but of course.
I feel like this Zoom toolbar is always in the wrong place.
Yeah.
It's like always in a really inconvenient place.
Yeah, it would be great if there was an easy way to like,
Minimize it.
yeah, I think really the secret here would be to like rearrange your desktop so that the bars were kind of expected to be there, but I don't know. I haven't figured out a good way to do it. Let's see, I don't want the orders, I want me.
Yeah, that looks kind of silly. That's fine. Okay. Looking at what on the API reference?
Yeah, so we want to do, well, if you actually just go back into the app, if you pull out the docs on the right-hand side there's that little flyout.
Yeah.
And then I think what we can do is there's like a query for customer, I think it is, if you go down. Yeah, let's just do customer. And go back real quick. Go click on the blue customer at the top. I think that's the actual query. And so the ID, oh, of course, the ID of the customer to return. Is there a search?
Here?
Yeah.
What,
Search like a search query. Or maybe customers has a search parameter. I know I figured this out before. So yeah, let's try this one. And
I think that's...
Yes. Okay, so this one lets us actually query. So let's do customers. So the query will be customers. So you can just clear that.
Okay.
And yeah, customers, and we'll do, I think it requires you to do first. So as your argument, do first out of 10 or whatever. And then for the query, we want, so like in with the arguments, it's going to be query. Yeah, next to first.
Oh.
And let's make that double quoted. Let's try email colon jason@langsdorff.com.
Do you ever get that? I type your name like that all the time.
So I've had to develop a habit of pronouncing it Jason, so that it doesn't sound like I'm talking about myself in the third person all the time. And do it at mylastname.com, because that's what the customer's under. So now you get to see if you know how to spell my last name.
Fool, I've done it like 5 times already.
Okay.
Also,
and then
I'm the one with the LEY. I take that personally.
okay, so let's do edges, and then node, and I think just ID. Yeah, try that, and let's see if we... Oh, come on. Great. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy paste that out, and we can take that into into our data model, and we're just gonna kind of cheat here a little bit. So let's just go to like, how do we want to do this? Let's just duplicate get customer orders.
All this?
Yeah. And inside there, let's change this to like get customer by email. I don't know if we'll keep this, but we might as well not make it gross. And let's paste in that search. So the thing we're missing is the access token, which I'm a little upset that Shopify doesn't let the authenticated app use your access token. But such is life, I guess. And then we need to call that from somewhere. So I don't really care from where. We can literally just put it in like any of our... Let's do it in a query so we don't create anything. So maybe let's do it in... like open issues, and we can just log what comes out of open issues. So if we throw it in
Do I
the
just make another query?
oh sure, if you want, yeah. I mean, then you have to like define it in the schema and everything, but
Yeah, no.
yeah,
Okay,
this is like quick and dirty debugging. We're not doing things the right way here.
okay, and this is this toolbar. Nope, nope, nope. Okay. So out of Shopify GraphQL, we want to get customer by email. Where am I? Okay, and do we just want to do it gusto?
Yeah, get customer by email, and then you can we're just hard coding it, so you can just leave it. You can leave it like you can just call it bare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we're not like I don't think this is actually going to be part of the API. I don't know that we want people to be able to look up customer IDs by email from the public API. So this is basically just because we need a customer ID, and I don't know how to get one without querying it, which is annoying, but you know.
So we'll just call open issues.
Actually, will you go look at your console logs? Because we may be able to shortcut this whole thing. Will you look at one of the logged customer IDs?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Shopify
/customer/ Okay, so they give me a like a string of numbers for the customers. So let me see if it's the same one, or if it looks like it's the right length. Because then maybe I'm just overthinking this, and it's actually that number. Let's try this. I'm gonna send you this number here. And if you want to hard code that into the
on Zoom chat, okay.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Is that gonna pull up in this window? It's probably better in Slack, actually.
I don't think no. It Zoom hides it. It like hides the and I don't care if the customer number's up. Like I don't think there's anything you can do with it without having that token. And this is my customer, so I'm less concerned about like me. I'm more concerned about giving away somebody else's data.
Okay, I have it.
Okay, and so we want to make the call back in Shopify GraphQL. We want to do a call for the orders, and this isn't going to help us right now because we have to. Shit, how are we going to do this?
I'm no longer following you.
I know I'm no longer following me either. Hold on, I let me think through 1 second. So what we need to do is we need to be able to query against the orders so that we can see what comes back from Shopify so that we can check how the orders work. There is there's a mutation that we can do here, and oh my God, I already did this work.
It is 4:30 and it's getting dark here.
That's awful. All right, so let's try to get this wrapped because I don't want to keep you past 5, and I'd love to finish this feature. So I just sent you in the Slack chat. I just realized that I already did all this work because I'm an idiot.
What?
I wrote this down in an issue.
You sent this in Slack or you sent this in the chat?
Sorry, in the Zoom chat. So basically, this mutation here.
Oh my God.
So we just need to use this query and feed in the customer's discount code. So we can just port this directly across and just leave out the discount code. And then so what I think we should do to validate this is let's start by making that request, and from there, and that'll be in the get customer orders up.
Oh, I'm just going to delete this.
Yeah. And make sure you take it out of the, yeah. Cool. So this one, we've got, I actually think everything there is the same except the, instead of the ID, we want the discount code. And we can verify that by just doing a quick check on what I wrote down. Edges node discount code. And that should give us, I put a sample result down there.
But do you want this ID?
No, I don't think so. Oh, that's a fake ID. I just wrote like 1, 2, 3, 4. And so what this should do is this should give us back our empty discount codes. So for now, it'll just be kind of an empty array. We need to extract that into an actual array that meets our needs. So we already know what our discount codes are, or actually we don't. We only know the one because we haven't created level 2 yet.
Yeah.
But so I guess what we need is when we get the customer orders, we need logic that will say, okay, so these are the discount codes, and then look through the customer's orders to see if these discount codes exist in those orders. And then we know that it's used. So right now, if we do this query, it should come back empty for the customers that we've created. So,
and we're calling this, where do you want to call this?
that would be called in create customer, or no, this is going to be called in get contributor. Here, right?
Well, here we're just checking. Yeah.
And so we can just add it to that promise.all on line 29 there. And we would need the, oh wait, we can't do that until we have the contributor info. So we have to do,
Right.
Okay, so that would happen next then.
After this.
Yeah. If not, there's some refactoring to do here, I think, because I think we made decisions about whether or not there was a, if there's not a contributor.
So this is customer is the problem.
Oh, we made weird decisions here. Yeah. Well, so, but all of this is all of this.
When we're pulling it out of Prisma, that's a Gatsby customer.
Well, it's a Gatsby contributor, and we're not doing this anymore because we don't have we're not creating an account unless they have a Shopify customer. So like, there's no longer a need to, or contributor info. We still need to return that because we still need to know how many pull requests. Well, how would we do that? Or no. Sorry. Okay. Let me. So we need to know how many pull requests they have, even if they're not logged in, even if they haven't created an account, because we need to show them the form if they qualify for this. So that's why we did this, and that makes sense because all right, that makes sense.
And this was why the what was it? There was something that needed to be made optional. Anyway, it doesn't matter right now. Okay.
Oh, you're right. It needs to be optional because when we return when we return here, it has to meet that contributor schema, which means that there might not be a customer ID.
Right.
Damn it.
That's a beautiful circle back to that conversation.
I know. We waited too long between doing these because now I like there's all this stuff that we talked about and figured out that completely forgot to manage.
Thanksgiving, man.
Yeah.
Had to happen.
I know.
So email, I think.
Yes. So the email and the customer ID will be nullable because there is a possibility that we're just going to return GitHub data.
Also because, really because people might want to associate a different email than the one associated with their GitHub.
Right.
So we didn't want to introduce confusion.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So we can just remove the requirement for the email, so no, and for the customer ID as well. And then we just need to do another Prisma deploy and Prisma generate. This one shouldn't require us to reset any data though. Yep. And then I'm also going to see if we can shortcut the like having to do custom stuff by just adding a new node that's going to have my actual name in it, and my email and my customer ID. And so if you don't mind going back to your console so I can see the format of that customer ID, I'm going to create a, let's see, it's GID, Shopify, capital customer, and then the customer number, which I have here. And we're going to try this. So that's my node.
Are you intending to share?
No, I'm not intending to share. I'm currently attempting to just update my node on the Prisma backend. Updating that node. Why don't you like this?
Oh, I was like, why do I have all these welcoming emails from Gatsby?
So I think we may have broken Prisma. I think the reason that it doesn't want to let us delete stuff or anything is because we don't have an ID field, which is a super, like, I guess if that's a requirement, I think that it ought to like throw if that's the problem. Okay, so I guess then we need to add, shit, how do we do that? I guess we just need to include an ID. Let me see how they form. Okay, so I'm gonna switch back over to my browser. And let's look at the Prisma docs. And let's see. Where's the schema? Maybe it's under here somewhere. Data model and migrations. So I think this might need to exist. So this is the, yeah, it looks like they're putting this on everything. So we need to add an ID, and that ID needs to be an ID that is required and unique, which means that we're probably going to have to blow away our data again to make this work. But then I can manually create a node so that we can do a get customer that should have the discount code so that we should be able to load like past orders and stuff. Which means that if you don't mind, we need to update that Prisma data model to include that ID, okay, definition. And let's throw it at the top just because my OCD is not going to allow us not to do that.
I support you. Okay.
Okay, so that should work. It's probably going to complain when you try to create it. So go ahead and run try to run Prisma deploy and see what it does?
It'll probably say there are things that. No. Okay.
So this is my suspicion. My suspicion is that because they have a required ID field, the fact that we didn't put one in here, just like confused Prisma. But like they don't. So they if you're looking at the stream now,
Yeah.
it won't let me actually edit that ID. But it was like very happy to have that ID back. So let me grab this customer number again. And let's update. Hey, and it actually updates and things. Okay, so that's just something that I didn't know was required that is in fact required, which is that the Prisma requires this ID field. Okay, so back over to you. What I think we can do now, if you want to give it a shot, is let's go into get contributor. We're pulling in the contributor info. Let's do a get orders or get customer orders after line 30. Or I guess it can also be after line 37. Because
I
that
think you need to do it before this.
Yeah, that would make sense. So we want to get the customer orders. So for now, let's just pull it into a constant and log it.
I can spell good.
And that's going to be contributor dot.
Well, this is because this is the Shopify ID.
Right, and that's in the contributor now because we put it there. So the what we get back from Prisma is going to be that Shopify customer ID. So the reason we had to add that other ID is so that Prisma would allow us to like edit entries.
Okay, so we get back contributor dot Shopify customer ID.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And just go ahead and.
Do I need to await this?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And then let's log that as well. Okay.
Okay.
And let's do a get contributor query. And I think your first tab has that already.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look at that.
And let's use my GitHub username. And this should give us back all the right info. It does. The Shopify codes came back null. That's fine because we don't have any yet. Look at your terminal though, and we should see my order info in there. Oof, that's a little rough. So it came back okay. I think we're dumping like a full Axios response, so I think we actually should have done like get customer orders.
Yeah, what do we get back from this?
Just dump like response.data. Or sorry, like orders.data, that's my fault. And I think that's the Axios standard. Orders came back as an
orders.
And it came back as an object. So down we go. It's actually data.data, which is super annoying. Data.data.customer.
Did that not run?
I don't know if that ran. I think it might have hung.
Oh, it's still, yeah, it's not complete. I jumped again.
Do you want to refresh? It shouldn't have hung.
Is it data.data?
Yeah, something went weird. Go ahead and give that one more try. Oh, it's converting a circular structure. Something went wrong. Did that work? Edges node object. God damn it. Okay, so down we go. You might even be able to just like JSON dump it. So do JSON.stringify.
Edges.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do that. Yep.
Okay, so we've got data back, and it includes. Where's our discount code?
Right here.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So, so yeah, we need to. We need to. How do we want to do this? We need to create some logic that is going to check whether or not a discount code was used. So this is probably a good use for a helper function in the Shopify class. And so maybe this will be like export const find used orders. I don't know.
Find used orders.
Or find used codes. And that will accept orders. And so the orders that we're going to pass in will be the edges that we just got. So we can do a orders dot, let's see, what would be the...
For each? Or just map it?
Yeah, we want to map it. And what I'm thinking here is that we want like an array of available discount codes. So we can start with...
well, we want the state of all of them because if they're used, we want to reflect that they're used.
Right. And so I think what we want to do is we want to start with like everything that's available. So let's ugly code this to start. Let's do an array of like available codes. So we can start with like const available codes and then just put in built with Gatsby and let's make up another one. So or build with Gatsby. That's my bad.
I just made this an array. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's perfect. And so then we're going to map and we'll get an order. And so in here, what we want to do is we want to turn that that object, the node, whatever, into a into the format that we actually want. So we want the code and whether or not it was used. So yes.
Okay.
And so what I would probably do in this case is I would destructure the argument to its node.
I always forget how to do this.
Yeah, but you'll have to double wrap that with parentheses.
Oh.
Okay. So then in here, we can do like if, or so the, I guess you could actually just return, like return code equals, or yeah, so return an object.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my brain shorted out there for a second. It's getting to the end of the day. And what's that property called? Yeah, you got it. And then used would be available codes dot. What's the one to check if it matches? Is it includes? Maybe we can test that in the console too if that's easier. And you need, yeah. You got to do a const on that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Have you done multi-level destructuring?
I have, but I always screw it up at first.
Well, so basically what you would do is you would just do node colon and then put that discount code next to it, and that would destructure it. So
Oh, are you talking about this?
Yep. But in curly braces. Yep. And then you can drop the line 89 now. They're functionally equivalent.
When it's nested, I always have to mess with it. It's still not totally intuitive for me.
And then you can get super hardcore and you can do a default return too. So you can...
yeah, that's useful.
And so, yeah, you would take instead of the curly brace and then return, it would just be parentheses and then the object.
Sorry, what?
So you can just, so you keep the object, but delete the return. And then on line 88, that trailing curly brace, turn it into a parenthesis instead.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And that is...
What have we done?
What have we done? Oh, you're missing a trailing parentheses for the map.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And so this should give us our discount codes. And honestly, maybe what we can do is, I don't know if it's really useful to have to import two functions to get the orders, because we never really need the raw response from Shopify. So maybe this find used codes helper can just be called inside of get customer orders. So we'll
So really it's just this is more about the codes. We don't care about the orders. The orders are just a means to an end.
Yes. So we should rename that. So like get used. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so that would just go into a variable. And then we have to pull out the...
Do I need to await this?
Yes, and you'll have to make it async as well. So on line 56. Yeah, there. No, before the variable, Shopify customer ID. Yeah. And so then we need to get to the edges. And that'd be the same as your log, the orders, data, whatever.
Oh my God, where was that? There.
And definitely add a to do error handling for that, because we're going to want to be...
Yeah, oh my God.
But in the meantime, what that should allow us to do is no longer export that find use nodes or find use codes on 83. So that's just a helper function now. Mm-hmm. And I believe, the other thing that we need to do is once we get the used codes, we're going to need to we're going to need to figure out whether or not the person qualifies for them. Because right now we would show all of them to everybody.
Right.
I guess
Well, no, because we're just mapping the orders.
we're just mapping the orders. Oh, that's right. No, that's totally right. And so, yeah, and then we'll get back what codes they've. How are we going to show which ones are available? Because right now we're just showing what they've used. So we'd need to. It would be like get codes, and so we would need to check. Oh crap! Okay, so there are three things happening. One is we need to know what all the available codes are. Two is we have to determine whether or not their contribution count from GitHub qualifies them for one or both discount codes. And the third one is to see which ones they've used, which is what we've done.
Okay, so we need to pass. This won't be get customer orders. This will be.
It'll be get customer codes. And I think we need to add. Should we do like their
Pull request count.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this already pulled out?
It would be in their contributor info, total contributions.
We have so much rewriting to do.
Yes, we do. But this is, I mean, it's cool. Like we're getting there. And you could probably just do contributions or contribution count. And then here, we would want to probably rewrite find used codes to be like to like return code status or something, or like get code.
I can type.
Yeah. So then we need.
So then this will need to accept.
Yes.
The contribution count also.
Right. So we're getting a little junky here, but we can fix that.
Make it work, then make it pretty.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to want to do is refactor available codes to include the contribution count requirement. So like build with Gatsby.
Yeah, or leave it. And then.
Oh, I see what you mean. I mean, I think we have to include like an object that's like the code and the contribution count required, because otherwise we have no way of associating them without hard coding something.
Okay, what are you thinking?
So like instead of being an array of strings, it would be an array of objects. And it would be like code. And it could be like threshold or contribution requirement. I feel like contribution count requirement is so verbose, but the most accurate. Like in terms of being communicative about what we're actually.
There's such a better.
I mean, I'll defer to you if you've got a better way to say it.
No, there's a perfect word for this. I hate it when my superpower is finding words that other people are trying to look for, and when I'm trying to find a word, I can't do it.
Oh, it's one of those booby trap superpowers. It's like useful until you need it.
Yes. I don't know. Let's just use threshold for now.
Okay. So it'll be 1 here. Yeah. So then we would want to start by, let's see, how do we do this? We need to filter the discount codes.
Filter the available codes.
So I think we would want to rename available codes to like all codes. And then we would filter that into available codes. And so it'd be like code and then we would, I don't even know if we need to do an actual function. We can just return the comparison of contribution count is greater than or equal to the code.threshold. Right, because yeah, that way, if it's over the threshold, we will get back the code. Yeah, that's what we want. And then we need to capture that into a variable. And then we have to refactor line 80 because it's, or line 78, I guess now.
Used.
Because, oh, actually, you know what we can do to make that so that we don't have to do it? After we filter, we can map. And we can just map it back into an array of strings.
Well, we still want the status, these.
Right. Well, so we'll get that. But what I mean is, so after on line 72, we filter down the codes. Once we filter, we don't need that threshold anymore. So on line 74, we can just chain that into a map where we turn this back into an array of strings, which means that line 78 will continue to work as expected. So we want earned codes to just be an array of strings.
Okay. I see. And that will be still be code.
Yeah, it's going to be a little confusing because then it's going to be code.code. So we can call it like code object if you want, or like discount, or I don't care.
Well, since we're
you could also destructure it down to just code so that you don't have to think about naming them the parent object. And then you can just return it. You don't even need curly braces. And that should just work. So with that, we're returning the code status. We need to update the get customer codes to actually pass contribution count through, I think.
Oh, yeah. To return code status.
And let's give it a try.
Okay.
Get contributor.
Get contributor.
Resolvers, line 36.
Oh, I'm not sure I saved it.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully that's all. Nope, different
Data
error.
of undefined. That means that, let's see, resolvers 38.
At total contributions.
At total contributions. Data of undefined. Data of undefined. Okay, so what would have been under get contributor info?
Get contributor info.
That would be weird. Did we change the... And then total contributions was response.data. So that just looks like the GitHub API didn't give us back what we want, which again points to better error handling.
Yeah.
Did we get rate limited? What time is it?
5:07 or...
Okay, we should wrap it up. So maybe what we should do here is let's commit this and get it pushed up to that work in progress PR. That I think you can...
I did just a whip commit earlier. Do you want me to just do another?
Yeah, I mean
I should name them.
Let's see, what do we want to do? You're gonna have to pull request this into the open PR. So like pull request against the same branch that against the feat level 2 swag branch. And that way I can merge your changes from today into the work in progress PR.
No, I'm just on the working branch.
What's your current branch?
I should be able to just push to this branch, right?
Oh, yeah. Actually, oh no, yeah, you totally should be able to because you're... Yes, yeah. Go ahead and do that.
Okay, I was just gonna...
Yeah, that's fine. We'll go back and
Yeah. So do you want me to rename that?
Sure, if you want. At this point, like, we probably need to go back and do some cleanup on it, but I don't want to stress about it at this exact moment. You could say like, yeah, that's fine. So go ahead and push that up.
Branches are for, right?
Yeah, they'll be squashed at the end. But yeah, so I think that puts us in like not fully working order, but in pretty good shape. So we can go back on this toward the end. Let's try to get back on this like within the next few days so that we don't forget it all again. Maybe like first thing next week.
If we have time, maybe we should do it Friday.
If on Friday.
We should not wait this long again.
Okay, let's see if we can make time for it tomorrow. In the meantime, I think let's see. Let's call this a day. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. Thanks everybody who stuck with us and watched, and we'll be back tomorrow to wrap this up. See ya.